Mr Assistant President, I rise to discuss the need for investment in mass transit infrastructure in Western Sydney and last night's federal budget. Western Sydney is the economic engine of New South Wales, and it's going to be our main driver of growth over the coming decades. It is forecast that an additional 1 million people will live in Western Sydney by 2036, and by then, more than half of Sydney's population will live west of Parramatta. A significant amount of this growth will occur in the arc from Penrith to Campbelltown, turbocharged by the development of the Western Sydney International Airport, the Aerotropolis and the Bradfield City Centre. The state government recognises these developments need to be supported by world-class transport infrastructure. The Metro Western Sydney Airport rail line is currently under construction and will connect St Mary's to Bradfield. Importantly, there will be no special access fee applied to using this line, unlike the rail line to Sydney Airport, but we need to do more. That means linking up the Western Sydney Airport line to rail services in the north and the south to take pressure off congested roads, to reduce car dependency, and to help people access jobs, services, education and social opportunities. To that end, I note with approval the $1 billion allocated in last night's federal budget to secure future rail corridors, not just between Leppington and Bradfield, but also between Bradfield and the booming suburbs of the Macarthur region. This investment is in addition to the $195 million business case to explore future rail connections in Sydney's west, a joint state and federal project. These connections are the missing links in our rail system and will ultimately create an orbital network looping around Greater Sydney. In turn, access to commuter rail services will encourage great private sector investment in the region and give developers confidence to push ahead with residential and commercial projects in the area. It should be noted that the federal budget also committed vital funding to road projects in Western Sydney as well. These commitments included $580 million for upgrades to Townsend Road, Burdekin Road and Garfield Road West to support housing growth and flood resilience, and $500 million to upgrade 15th Avenue. I'm particularly pleased about the investment in 15th Avenue because it's going to be a critical connector to the new airport, and there is an ambitious and exciting vision for public transport services, along with plans for medium and high density residential development along that corridor. Assistant President, you can take it from me. I know how much effort people have gone to advocate for better transport infrastructure for Western Sydney. As the National Secretary of the Rail, Tram and Bus Union, I was one of those banging the drum. I prepared a submission to the New South Wales Government calling for a rail corridor reservation at the time stretching from St Mary's to Campbelltown back in 2014, and at the time the union described the project as a rail equivalent to the M7. I also vividly remember the sinking feeling when former Coalition Prime Minister Tony Abbott ruled out any investment into commuter rail infrastructure, into projects like Western Sydney rail extensions, on the grounds that the federal government should stick to its knitting. Now we not only have a state government that believes in rail, we have a federal Labor government that understands the economic importance of cities and the link between infrastructure and productivity. That's what a difference a decade can make. Of course, reserving corridors is just the start of the process. It's an important start because retrofitting rail corridors onto land that has already been developed for other purposes is extremely complicated and extremely expensive. But a vacant corridor in itself is not enough. We recognise that the onus will be on state and federal governments to follow up and to make sure those corridors, once they are reserved, are then put to use. These major projects take time, and the state government is already building 3 separate metro projects simultaneously, with the airport project, the Metro West and the South West Metro project all currently under construction. But the key point, Assistant President, is that the people of Western Sydney can now have genuine confidence that there is a real commitment backed up with real money from this year's federal budget. And what's more, the Minns state government is absolutely determined to get on with the job and deliver the transport infrastructure and services that Western Sydney desperately needs.